all of the signs were pointing towards a current 5-star Halloween unit, which is why I knew for a fact that we weren't going to get current, because these developers never actually do what you would expect them to, and by now you really should have known this. So I said in Reddit and on Discord and whatever that, yeah, we're not gonna get current because it's too obviously current. That's exactly what happened. So we got another news as usual, and for this time it was the Halloween news, as you can see, very obviously Halloweeny. But as usual, we have to start with the quality of life stuff first before we get to the actual Halloween news. So, for quality of life, first off, starting from the 30th of October, now whenever some of your resources are about to time out, like you have, for example, medals from a shop for your gacha, for example, your gacha medals or your event medals or whatever, whenever they're about to expire, and when you log in, you're going to get a message that's telling you this stuff is about to expire. Okay. Then on early November, they're going to do the following, and this is actually kind of useful for a lot of people, especially now that they're doing more missions. And if you've already done these missions, well, there's going to be more missions in the future. But now when you do a mission that wants you to do a specific boss, a specific piece of content, there's going to be now a button that you can just press that button and it's going to get you right to the fight where you can do that specific mission, which, yeah, probably should have been in the game since before, but better late than never. So that's going to be an addition now sometime in early November, probably in 6th of November, somewhere around that time is when I'm going to introduce this one. And they're also saying that now with the next monthly reset, so the one on starting 1st of November, now these eternal drop locks are also going to be added to the Gold Link Metal Store. So you will always have some from the Gold Link Metal Store. Awesome. Next up, we are getting more Chaos Switches. Now, I know that not that many people actually play Chaos. The ones that do play Chaos and have gotten past the first boss will probably tell you that, yeah, Chaos Switches are really fun. They're really cool. They're some of the best pieces of content, maybe the best of pieces of content in the entire game. But they haven't done any new ones in like a few patches, in like a few months maybe even. But now they're finally adding more Chaos bosses. You can actually see the next 3 in the background already. But for now, at least, we're getting the Chairperson, we're getting Sandbox, and we're getting the Artist Witch. Awesome. Fantastic. Although they are skipping the Horse. Whatever. Point is, we're getting more Chaos bosses. Fantastic. I love Chaos bosses. Like I said, I think they're some of the best content out there. Now, since it's the end of a month, we're also getting new characters on the standard banner, and that is, of course, going to be Ui and Sakurako, of which Ui is the standout because she's one of the best supports in the game, one of the best buffers, that is. And as usual, at the end of the month, when they do get added to the standard banner, you're going to get, for just 24 hours, you can do a one-time free 10 draw, and maybe you get lucky and you get them, like one of them at least. So, sure, nice. And now we get to the actual Halloween stuff. Is what I would say if we didn't have a Q&A section first. So the Q&A section is just them taking some questions that they know people have been asking a lot about and just giving you some answers for them. First off, when is Double Iroha model update? And they're saying, yeah, November. Okay, when are there going to be more Lighthouse stories, or generally what are their plans regarding more Lighthouse stories, so Namae and AQ stories, and Exedra original stories like Crescent Memoria? And they're saying, well, they want to do more, but it takes time and they're still planning and still working on stuff, but they want to do more. When are, or generally what are their plans regarding more updates to the Dollhouse mode and the camera modes? And they say, well, they're also already working on a new update specifically about getting more costumes and more clothes that people were wearing in all of the different stories. So you can use those on your characters as well. And also they've been asked about, can we do something to have the daily missions be a bit shorter, like having to do all of those things you need to do daily, including your link race, for example, or your Crystallis farming. And they're saying, oh, well, they agree that some of those battles take a really long time, including Crystallis farming, and they're currently thinking about different ways they can use to make the playtime a bit shorter, but they haven't really they don't have anything specific to give us yet. So, okay, that much for that. But now we actually get to the Halloween news. So, it's Mami. So, I had this idea that seems to be correct, that they don't actually trust Magio Record or any other spin-off to carry an update by itself, like a seasonal update. So, whenever there's a seasonal update, like maybe for Christmas as well, maybe for New Year's as well, maybe for next year's spring and summer as well, there has to be at least one Puella Magi Holy Quintet character, because I guess otherwise people aren't interested. So they just throw out another Mami right here. It's Halloween Mami, yay! And then we also get Halloween, Alina, and I guess Karen is also there. So what is this actually? Well, this is a new event. Specifically, this is a new alternate universe event that apparently takes place in an alternate universe where every day is Halloween. And I think Mami is like someone who makes candy for a living. And I think also, like, because every day is Halloween, they're getting tired of Halloween. So now Karen has to bring the Halloween spirit back to people or something like that. Yeah, this is completely off the wall, bonkers stuff. Anything can happen here. This is nothing that you have to worry about, like, is it canon or not? It's some alternate universe somewhere in the Madoka multiverse, so it doesn't matter, okay? Now, because the story is split into two parts, the Mami part that no one cares about and the Aikari part that everyone cares about, the first part will be on the 30th and will feature Mami, and the second part will be on the 6th of November and will focus on Alina, and I guess Karen also exists. Now, here's the most important part about this entire event. The enemies get special updates and special outfits. Nice. Okay, so let's actually get to the unit. Now, I'm putting the unit up here for Mami, but I also want to mention that it has been teased that there is going to be an Alina Kyoku, not a Karen Kyoku, I'm sorry, maybe next year. There's going to be an Alina Kyoku, and that one will be a fire attacker. Okay, that's all we know. That's all we know, sadly. But we know that she's going to come probably around the 6th of November. At least we have been told about what Mami actually does, because she is releasing on the 30th, but as far as, you know, Alina is concerned, we don't really know anything about her. So if you already have a really powerful Momoko or Kyoko, maybe it's not going to be that interesting to you. At the same time, when it comes to debuffers, I can already tell you right now, if you don't care about Mami, like, as a person, Ren is, like, really good. And as far as debuffs are concerned, if you just have a really good Ren, you probably don't need this Mami. And both of these characters are limited, meaning that if you already have strong characters, like I said, a strong fire attacker or a strong Ren, you probably can just skip both of these and not look back. But let's actually get into the weeds about Mami, a baby or lantern. So, as I mentioned, she's a limited dark type debuffer. And what does she actually do? By the way, the rest of the video is just gonna be me talking about Mami. So she does the following. She has a new special debuff that she applies to enemies with her skill, Rondo di Dolcetti. Oh, it's Italian, oh my god. And what this one does is it applies Candy Holic to the target. So it's all single target, by the way. So it applies Candy Holic to a single target, and this debuff does the following. When cursed, decreases defense by 15% and also increases damage taken. So a lot of debuffers, they do both defense down and damage taken up, and we can already see that right here. You do some defense down and some damage taken up just by this Candy Holic debuff, but the enemy also has to be cursed. Now the skill itself also decreases defense by 25%, meaning you already have like 40% defense down, which is really fucking high, but only against a single target, and the enemy has to be cursed. So how is the enemy getting cursed? Because the skill doesn't curse, okay? Well, let's take a look at her ability. And what it says is, when you attack a Candy Holic enemy, you curse the enemy as well. Now keep in mind, ailments can be resisted. So if an enemy is weak to dark, usually that means they have no resistance to curse or very low resistance to curse, and this is probably gonna hit. But if an enemy is not weak to dark, you might miss the curse. Of course, ailment hit rate can help with that, and one of the crystals you might want to use with first ailment hit rate, because otherwise you might not hit your curses on targets, specifically if they're not weak to dark. So that's one way of getting curse. What else does her passive do? Well, when at least one enemy has Candy Holic, then it increases all allies' ongoing damage. Ongoing damage means damage over time effects. So burn, curse, poison, vortex from Swim Sakai, etc. All these are damage over time effects. And these do more damage if there's at least one Candy Holic enemy on the field. And then it also says something about special attack, decreasing all enemy speed by 3%, which stacks like 3 times. Not that much, it's like 9% speed down. Really not that much. Which, like A4, like the Ascension 4 technically increases that a tiny bit, but only a tiny bit, so it's still not going to be that much. But that's better than nothing, I guess. But then also, her actual special attack itself just curses the target and then applies a damage taken up. So you have a whole lot of damage taken up and you have a whole lot of defense down, the most of any character. But keep in mind, because she's limited, it's going to be a lot harder to get to Ascension 4, and Ascension 4 increases for every debuffer, it's the same for all debuffers, increases all of your debuff effects by 30%. So Ren, for example, at Ascension 4, still does more damage amplification. Because Mami had a harder time actually getting to Ascension 4, because are you going to really drop that many rolls to get her to Ascension 4, so she actually does more damage amplification than Ren, who is free, and you probably already have her at high Ascensions maybe even, or are going to get her at high Ascensions in the future? So yeah, that's basically her entire kit. Her support ability also increases the ongoing damage dealt to whoever you equip this to, increases some speed, gives you some MP, basic stuff, but also really nice stuff, is fine. And then on top of that, it also, once you have her EX Crystallis, her Candyholic does even more stuff. So with her EX Crystallis, her Candyholic, if you attack an enemy that has it, you then gain a stacking attack buff up to 20%, and it also increases your own, like Mami's damage over time damage, so her curse damage, by a little bit. And she does actually have a really high base attack, so she can actually do a decent amount of damage. That said, we've run the numbers, we've taken a look at it, and Swim Sayaka and Ren are probably still going to do way more damage than Mami. And the main reason for that is, and the main downer that I'm going to have to get to you guys, is that in order to actually make use of all of the damage capabilities she has, you have to pop her curse like whenever she applies it. So you have to apply it, pop it. Apply it, pop it. Now who can pop curses and who can pop damage over time generally? Well, you have Hana, who is a terrible character outside of her special, so you probably aren't going to use her, or Nemu. But Nemu is fine, she's okay, but she doesn't really do that much more, because Nemu is mainly supposed to try and support a forest carry, like a forest Mami for some reason. But outside of that, outside of supporting specifically a forest character, Nemu also doesn't really do that much. So she's not going to really add much to your team outside of popping ailments, and more importantly, she only pops ailments with her special attack, which is kind of rare. You kind of want to be able to pop it all the time. Like, imagine there was some other character, right? This character could maybe, if someone applied an ailment with an attack, maybe that other character could have a follow-up attack, and then that follow-up attack could automatically pop the ailment, right? And then maybe that character could also have it on her skill, like Kafka's skill. I mean, that other character's skill could also maybe detonate dots with her skill, right? So you have both the follow-up attack and the skill to like detonate your dots, and then Kafka's special. I mean, that specific character special could also detonate dots, so you'd have multiple different ways of detonating dots. So whenever your Mami applies the ailments, then Kafka could come in and detonate all these ailments. Same with all your other characters, and that would actually be quite helpful and kind of required actually to make damage over time characters good. Because just having a Nemu who otherwise is only mediocre, to have a special that sometimes, like how long does it take you to get your special, pops ailments, that's not enough to actually make a damage over time playstyle. So most of her actual damage output, with all of her damage over time increases that she gets from her EX, from her passive and everything, all of that damage increase is getting wasted, because you can't really pop it that much, right? You can't pop those ailments. And what happens when the boss gets broken? When the boss gets broken, the boss doesn't take any turns. And when the boss doesn't take any turns, it can't take curse damage or damage over time damage at all. So you are required to have someone pop ailments, but Nemu is too bad at that. So it's not gonna happen, okay? At least right now, but maybe future characters, maybe even Alina, who knows, could pop ailments a lot more often, right? And then we can talk about it again, right? Then we can talk again about having a damage over time team. Now, if you at some point in the future, maybe a character like that exists that can pop ailments a lot more often and actually plays into this playstyle, then maybe you might want to have this Mami right here to do this sort of playstyle. But even then, I don't think she's going to be like more effective than an attacker would be in the same spot. Like, this is also the thing about Swimsuit Sayaka and about Ren. They're still not better than attackers. They're just good because they can do their damage while also being really helpful to the team in other ways, right? It's a bonus, right? That's what a sub DPS means. Their DPS is a bonus. But with this, you would have to have an entire team that plays a lot of damage over time, so it wouldn't even be a bonus anymore. And with that, it might be too weak. That said, it's a lot of speculation because, like I said, this mystical damage over time team doesn't exist yet, so we can't really speculate on how good it would actually be. Keep that in mind. But if we take everything that we currently have in the game into consideration, is she actually good? Yeah. If all you want is just single target damage amplification, she is really good at that. It's just that she's only about as good as an A4 Ren in damage amplification, and because Ren is a standard character who has been in the game since release, a lot of people, including free-to-play people, have her at high ascension already. So why roll for a new character that does the same thing as one of the characters you already have, right? Now, if you get her to high ascension because you're a whale, right? If you're a whale, you can get her to high ascension, get her to ascension 4, ascension 5, then she does more, like way more damage amplification. But that's only really for like score attack. So I guess for score attack she might be useful. And outside of that, like I said, Ren does more damage, like generally. Ren also gets follow-up attacks just passively by existing, which means she needs less skill points, right? She's a lot more skill point efficient. She does more damage herself. She like having many follow attacks actually counters a lot of boss mechanics. Like every boss there's some boss mechanics that say when the boss gets attacked by follow-up attacks, or just gets attacked by multiple attacks, or just any amount of attacks at all, the boss gets weakened. Those amounts of gimmicks, Ren is really good against them, which is like a lot of tower bosses actually have gimmicks like that. Or if you have a setup where you need to hit the boss and multiple targets, Ren cleaves and hits multiple targets at once, also debuffs multiple targets at once, and Mami is only single target. There's like many different things that Ren does that Mami can't, while on the other hand, the only thing that Mami does that Ren can't is increasing damage over time. Like I said, right now it doesn't do anything, which is a bit yikes. So yeah, whales are gonna pull her at high ascensions to have like a little bit more damage and score attack. Outside of that, just use Ren and just gonna be doing better, right? Just use Ren, it's gonna be doing better. Now, I'm not gonna blame any of the Mami fans for this being yet another Mami alt. That's a lie. I'm definitely blaming Mami fans for this being yet another Mami alt. You know where you are. But that said, I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm also going to be streaming this, by the way, when it comes out, and I might even do a special Halloween stream with something different. Who knows? And as always, shout outs to my members, Chai Bean, Lip Van Winkle, and Simpletor. Thank you very much.